No. Thank you for telling me.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, for 1 minute there, we had Chris. For 1 minute there, we had Chris on our show. She hates to be on camera. I don't know why, but anyway, she that's the way it is. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is Monday, the 24th, I think, of May, which means we've got 6 or 7 more days of May and celebrations and all of that other good stuff. So before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to Grey Eagle, who is, even as we speak and as usual, standing to my right side. We also have Chris in Vermont. Say good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone.
Do we have anybody in there yet?
We do. People are popping on.
Okay. So I'm going to say this then. I shall say this all the way through the show. Did you write it in there, Chris? Can people see what you've written in there?
I did put it in the chat room, yes.
Okay. So Motivational Monday. I hate those things. It's such a cliche. But anyway, I'm going to be hoping that I'm going to be motivating you into action of some kind or another. However, here is my first go at motivating you, right? So are you ready? As you, we're trying something new here. As you write in your questions or your comments, we are going to be asking you to preface. For those of you who don't understand what I mean by preface, I mean before you put in anything else, please can you write in. I know it's a bit of a pain in the butt to do it, but as I've said, we're trying something new and we really want to motivate you into into doing something which I think can help us in the long run. And so that is, please can you put in, before you put in your question or comment, can you please put in the hashtag, some people know it as the £, hashtag Rosemary Altea. Is going to take you as long to type it in as I just said it. So hashtag Rosemary Altea, and then you can ask your question or make your comment. So I shall remind you as we go along. And so we're going to give you a few passes. We're going to allow, those people who forget or didn't hear the request or whatever, we're going to allow you a few passes. But then I'm going to be saying, this will motivate you. I'm going to be saying, all right, if you do want us to comment, or if you do want us to talk to you, or if you do want to have your question answered, eventually you're going to have to do the hashtag Rosemary Altea before you ask your question. So let me just say it one more time for those of you who were not around. We're asking you, please, pretty please, could you please, before you ask your question or before you make your comment, would you do this small thing for me and put in hashtag Rosemary Altea. Rosemary Altea is all one word. It doesn't need to be. I think it is anyway. Chris, is it or not?
Yeah, yes, it is all one word. And thank you. Jeff and Carolyn are already doing it.
Good. Oh, we love that. We love it. So, all right. So, yes, here we go. Motivational Monday. And again, I hate that it's such a cliche. Everybody wants to do Motivational Monday and everybody wants to do Wellness Wednesday. And it really, I don't care for it myself, but I'm told that people will know what it is that we're talking about. So anyway, there it is. So I'm stuck with it for the time being. Now, let me just say that I was motivated. When I got out of bed this morning, I was motivated to go into the kitchen. A little while ago, a few minutes ago, just before we started the show, again, I was motivated to go into the kitchen. You notice the kitchen seems to be my destination, right? What motivated me, and I thought about it as I was thinking about, what does motivate us? And we know, don't we? We absolutely know and understand that we are motivated if we are hungry. we are motivated. If we're thirsty, we're motivated to go into the kitchen to find something to eat, and we're motivated to go into the kitchen if we're thirsty. So in other words, we are motivated if we feel the need to nourish ourselves. And it occurred to me that this is what actually does motivate us, isn't it? If we need to be nourished spiritually, we are motivated then to come and join in shows like this. If we are motivated, if we need to nourish our relationships, then we're motivated to do things and to work hard at our relationships. Hunger is the great motivator, right? So I want you to participate with me in this. So I'm going to be asking you, and you're going to be doing hashtag Rosemary Altea, right? So, but I want you to participate in this, because this is what I would like to you to think about. What do you hunger for? Because I think that hunger is one of the greatest of our motivators. Hunger is the thing that makes us do. Hunger is the thing that makes us take action. If we sit there, we're hungry, and we sort of loll about on the sofa waiting for somebody else to come and feed us, well, you may be lucky. You may get somebody who's going to sit there and feed you. In my household, even when my daughter was a little girl, if she was hungry, then I motivated her to feed herself by saying to her, well, you can come into the kitchen and help me. And I would show her how to do things. If you want to motivate your children, in other words, stop doing things for them, encourage them to do those things for themselves that they can. Hunger is a great motivator. Some people hunger for recognition. Some people hunger for stardom. Some people hunger for what? What else do people hunger for? I want you to tell me. Some people hunger for sort of acceptance. As we found out when we did our bottom brick exercise on Friday with our lovely volunteer. Some people are motivated by the hunger to be loved, to be nurtured, to be cared for. But I think that if we look at the theme of what do we hunger for, what is it? And as I'm talking to you, or what I'd like you to think of is, if you've got a pen and a pad, if you've got a pen and a pad, Andy, I wondered if I'd said that right for a minute. What is the one thing that pops into your head that you hunger for, aside from a sandwich? If you desperate, you are hungering for a sandwich, and you go into your cupboards and there's no bread, are you motivated to go to the store? How motivated are you? How hungry are you for something? If you're motivated enough about anything in your life, and that's the point, isn't it? Being motivated enough, hungry enough. So we can talk about motivators, we can talk about the tools that you can use, we can talk about the ambitions board, for instance, that we've talked about before. The ambitions board is a great motivator, because when we make our ambitions board, our subconscious works for us as well as our conscious. But I think that we have to be hungry enough for something to want to be able to either go out and find how to do it, or how to get it, how to find it, in order that we can nourish ourselves. So I'd like you all to be thinking as we're going through this show, and I'd want to take comments, questions, ideas. I would love to have ideas from you, and I'd love to have suggestions from you too. Hunger, it depends how hungry you are. In other words, how disciplined are you going to be? Are you going to, if you don't have a loaf of bread in your house and you desperately want a sandwich, are you actually going to be disciplined enough to get up, get the car keys, or walk to the store, whatever it is you have to do, go and buy that loaf of bread and make yourself the sandwich? Are you going to be motivated enough, and are you going to be disciplined enough? Because it's all very well wanting something, it's all very well being hungry for something, but if we're not disciplined enough, in other words, if we don't want it enough, then the bottom line is it isn't going to happen. So you might be sitting here thinking, oh, Rosemary's going to give me the magic, that magic suggestion, that magic idea that will make me now be motivated enough. She's going to fix it for me. She's going to tell me what I need to do. But nobody can motivate you. Nobody can nourish you if you don't make an effort to nourish yourself. Nobody can force you to eat that sandwich, for instance. If you're hungry enough, you'll eat it, right? Nobody can force it. Well, not really. Nobody can force it. You force you to eat something that you don't want to eat. And so you could be lazy and sit and wait for somebody else to make the sandwich for you. You're going to go hungry, because sooner or later people are going to stop feeding you, right? So laziness is a killer of the motivation that we might have. Complacency is another thing. If we're complacent and we're okay, we might want something, we might hunger for something, but I'm okay, really. So you can be complacent about a thing. Complacency and laziness are two real killers of motivation. What are the other killers of motivation? Well, I guess, just thinking that you deserve to have everybody else do something for you. There are a lot of people like that who think, hey, I'm entitled. So entitlement is a killer of motivation also. So do I think that I am entitled to go into the kitchen and make myself a sandwich? No, I don't. I feel I'm privileged to have all the fixings to make my sandwich. Again, attitude, right? Am I disciplined enough? Am I hungry enough to go in there and make that sandwich? You bet you, after this show, I'm definitely going to go in there and get myself something to eat. I'm going to nourish myself, because I hate being hungry. So am I going to be lazy enough to think, oh, somebody else would do? Well, there's nobody else in my house, so it's down to me. What I'd like you to do with that pen and that pad that you've got handy is just write down one word or one sentence of something that you might hunger for. It might be your lunch, but we're going beyond that, aren't we? We're talking about motivating ourselves to become what? Motivating ourselves to become happier, motivating ourselves to become more contented, motivating ourselves to learn, motivating ourselves to go out and fix something that's broken perhaps, or that motivating ourselves to do the job that we've been putting off and putting off and putting off, because we're not hungry enough, or we're not motivated enough. We've got nobody behind us, sort of cracking the whip and saying, you've got to do this. You might have a nagging wife or a nagging husband. You might have somebody pushing you. But if you are not hungry enough for something yourself, for instance, if something needs fixing and you've been putting it off because you're not hungry enough, it's not important enough, you're too lazy, or you're too complacent, it'll get done sometime or another. If you when you eventually are pushed, either because you really feel that I better get up and get it done, or somebody else is pushing you, you're going to fix it, but you're not going to fix it gleefully or joyfully, are you? And the truth of the matter is, you might fix it, but it's possible that if you don't do a good job, it's going to break again, isn't it, before too much longer. So I'm looking today for the theme of hunger as our motivator, and we have to be hungry enough to be disciplined Discipline's the worst thing in the world. Having the discipline to get yourself off your butt and get and do something is not easy. But if you are hungry enough for something, what would that be? Why don't you just write that down and think about what I'm saying? Because once this show is over and done with, I do not have any magic wand here for you. Do not have any way of saying to you, if you do A, B, and C, this is going to be the result. You've got to figure it out for yourself. But what you have to look at, first of all, is if you've had an ambition, if you've had a desire, if you've had something that you really want to do, then you've got to ask yourself first this one question. And when you've written down on your piece of paper what that thing is, you've got to ask yourself, how hungry am I? And you'll laugh at yourselves often, because you'll realize that you might have had that ambition for a long time, and you just haven't been hungry enough. So then cross it off, because you're not going to succeed at it. If you're not hungry enough, if you're too lazy, or if you're too complacent, and please don't tell me that, well, I just don't know how to do it. Because actually you can go on YouTube and say, type in, how do I fix this piece of machinery? It'll tell you exactly. There are so many how-tos out there. There are so many motivational classes that you can tap into. There are so many stories that, if you can't learn from your own experiences, you can learn from other people's experiences. So don't go there with me and say, yeah, Dad, but I don't know how to do it. Well, get off your butt and figure it out. Stop being lazy, stop being complacent, so on and so forth. And I can tell you that if you continue to be lazy or complacent, you're never going to achieve your ambitions. I can say that to you, but you've got to feel it. So I think the first thing you have to ask with your ambition, or whatever it might be, if you want to find happiness, or if you want to simply just learn, or if you want to if you want to go out and make that cake, for goodness sake, stop saying I don't have time, because how hungry are you for this? How hungry are you? And I want to hear now your comments, or your questions, or your thoughts, or whatever it is, because this is a way of participating. But remember, before you type up your question or your comment, just remember, hashtag Rosemary Altea. You got to put it in. We're giving some passes to those of you who didn't know, because you came into the show a little bit too late, or we're giving passes to those of you who think, oh, I only need to do it once, and if I make 6 comments, I don't need to put it in 6 times. We're giving you some passes today, but from now on, and probably forever, evermore, when you listen to me and you want to ask a question, which we're always willing to answer for you, you got to put in hashtag Rosemary Altea. Oh, are we being mean? Chris, how are we doing there?
Well, I know some people join you late, so they have missed it, and I've been trying to populate it into the chat room, what we're hoping people will do.
Right.
And they're laughing now, and they're adding it. Carolyn said, of course, great, Carolyn, using hashtag Rosemary Altea. Today, I was motivated to send healing to my mom's fracture in her back. So I used my new healing book and did your healing from a couple of Wednesdays ago.
Oh, brilliant. I love that. Carolyn, that's fantastic. So you were hungry enough. In other words, it was important enough for you to nourish not only your own abilities to learn and to use the exercises that we gave, but you were hungry enough to nourish in the way that you can, into whatever way you can, to nourish your mother too. So that is absolutely brilliant, and we love that. Absolutely love it. Keep going, Chris.
Well, this is going to be interesting today, because we're rewarding the people who put hashtag Rosemary Altea. So if you didn't, I'm moving on to the next one.
Oh, no.
So you can rephrase it.
Wait a minute. I thought we were giving passes today, no?
Well, the passes are the people who did it the first time, but they didn't do it the second, third, or fourth time, right?
Come on.
But
Yeah,
you can
okay.
change it at any point, Rosemary. I will do what you are asking.
No, you. Oh, I'm not getting involved.
Okay.
Chris is the bad guy. Just want to say to everybody out
Hey.
there, let's blame Chris. She is the bad guy. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Okay. So Julia did great with hashtag Rosemary Altea.
Good.
I used to be extremely hunger for knowledge. I am so sad when I cannot read because of the pain and fatigue. I always want to know and learn and grow. But now I have no dreams for myself anymore after all these years. I am so tired and I am afraid to live. I hope my son Neo will be happy. Nobody can fix my pain. I am not a victim or blame anyone. It is okay and I stay positive, but I am just afraid. I am not lazy, just afraid. I am so grateful for the knowledge you, Gray Eagle, and Chris give. Thank you.
Um, I'm sorry. Who is this? Who's written
This is Julia.
Julia. Julia, I totally understand everything that you're saying, and fear is a great killer of motivation. You're absolutely right. You really are. Fear is that, it really is that killer. But let me just say something to you, my darling. You were motivated enough to write that really long explanation for us, for which I am grateful. And I think we're all grateful. And you pointed out absolutely rightly that fear is the one thing that often freezes us. So it's let's say, I'm fearful of going into the kitchen. I'm fearful of what? Nourishing myself. I'm fearful because, you know, maybe I'm fearful of wanting to feel better. Maybe I'm fearful of wanting to, of feeling worse. Fear can stop us more than any other emotion, I think. But this is what we're going to do for you, Julia, because in this one small moment of wanting to nourish yourself and wanting to share with me and with the others who are here, what you did was you actually conquered the fear, you faced the fear. And if you can do it this one little tiny time, then I believe in you and I believe that you can do it again and again. And if you need to hold my hand to do it, so be it. Some of us just need somebody else to help us. It's not that we're idle, it's not that we're complacent, it's that we're fearful of the result. And it's amazing, really, because pain and hurt are those things that sometimes we are afraid to let go of. Does that sound weird to everybody? Pain and hurt are those things that we're sometimes afraid to let go of, because if we don't have the pain and we don't have the hurt, it's almost as if we're saying that we got over something, we got over a trauma, we got over a trial. Julia, I know what you're thinking now. You're thinking that you're recognizing what it is that I'm saying. But letting go of the pain little bit by little bit is not letting go of the experience. It is not letting go of the person who, you are pained about, or you feel hurt for or through. Loss, when we lose someone, sometimes the only way we feel that we can keep hold of them is by holding on to the pain and holding on to the hurt. And so we lose our motivation, we lose our ability to nourish ourselves, to want to nourish ourselves. But when we lose that ability, it's always a really good thing to think perhaps beyond our own self, because I know that the pain of those in the spirit world, as they look at us and they see us frozen in this fear, all they want to do is to somehow motivate you to smile for them, not for you, but for them. Somehow they want to motivate you to take a step forward, to face your fear. And Julia, what we're going to do is we're going to put you in our healing book, and I'm going to wrap you in my arms, and I'm going to help you if I can to take those baby steps to overcome the fear of more pain and more hurt, and to help you to understand that your loved ones in the spirit world are wanting you to nourish yourself, because if they see you nourishing yourself, they then can be nourished also through you. Chris.
Bear Medicine Walker, also great job doing hashtag Rosemary Altea, says, I so understand this, Julia, as I carry the same tiredness, but with no fear for me. I trust what is will be.
That's nice. Thank you for that. Keep going, Chris.
All right, so now I'm going to scoot back up to the top of the chat where people have not used Rosemary Altea because they did
Oops.
not know any better.
Well,
Lee is on. Lee says, Rosemary, my nephew passed away last week. I'm very sad because he was only 35. Here's my question. My sister and I are estranged, and I had no idea, except that a strange dream of him last week. Was that a premonition? Was that a premonition or a visitation? This is not the first time it has happened that I dream of someone that passes shortly after.
well, Lee, obviously you're extremely sensitive to this kind of thing. My sadness is, I'm assuming from what you're telling me that my sadness is that it is your sister's son who passed. My sadness is that you say that you are estranged. Can I say, if I can motivate you a little bit, to help you to understand that, she has to be going through tremendous heartache right now. And as Julia points out, sometimes it's too exhausting to even make an effort for yourself. It's only when you understand that you're making an effort for somebody else that maybe you can be motivated to take that first little step. So for your nephew, maybe you might be motivated to reach out to your sister and to mend or to fix or at least to soothe the gap, the hurts and the pains that have caused this estrangement between you. So Lee, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you're going to be motivated enough to reach out to her, maybe even tell her, about your dream, because I think perhaps not only is it a visitation, which you know perfectly well that it is, you don't need me to tell you that, but maybe through you, your sister might find a little peace and a little understanding that her son is he's okay. Chris.
Lee did respond right away and said, my heart is broken for her,
Yeah.
but she doesn't like me, and I did reach out to her.
Well, good for you, Lee, and don't let it stop you. And there is a I'm sure there's a reason why she doesn't like you, and I don't think it's got anything to do with the fact that you're a bad person. Families are complicated, aren't they? There's all sorts of jealousies, and we don't quite know where they're coming from. And we did our bottom brick last Friday, and this concerned two sisters who were, I'm not going to say estranged so much, but certainly had issues with each other. And, when you get down to it and you see this, there's a lot of sibling rivalry going on, and it's hard to understand it. But even if we don't understand it, we can sort of sympathize with it, we can empathize with it. Don't let this stop you. Just keep knocking on her door, just keep reaching out, just keep, because she's got barriers that are up. And don't be deterred by her determination to keep the barriers up. Just let her know that you're thinking of her. Let her know that she's in pain, that you're praying for her, or whatever it is that you're going to do. Don't let her barriers stop you from doing what you absolutely know is the right thing to do. You're obviously such a lovely person to have reached out, and so I'm applauding you for that. Good for you. Motivate yourself. Understand that she may never accept you. She may never like you. She may never want to step over that void, but keep coming anyway. Keep doing it anyway. Little bit by little bit by little bit. Chris.
Julia is also thanking you, saying, you are so absolutely amazingly right. Thank you. Lots of love for everybody here and well wishes for you all.
You see, Julia, you're motivated. So if you can be motivated in this little moment, I know, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed and sending you lots of healing and lots of love, and I know that you can be motivated to take those next little steps. Fear is a horrible thing. It's the thing that freezes us, isn't it? The most. Fear can freeze us into inaction. And I'm a great believer in sort of, look, face your fear, say boo, go for it. Say I'm not going to be that fearful that it's going to stop me from taking that next little step and that next little step. Fear is a great, we see it all around the world today. People are afraid of so many things, and it can cause us to be angry. It can cause us to be bitter. But face it down. Be brave. Oh gosh, be brave. I promise you. I hold your hand. Be brave, and you can face it down and find the courage to begin to be motivated once again. If your dreams that you say you can't dream, if your dreams are only for the happiness of your loved ones in the spirit world, if your dreams are only to make them smile, if your dreams are only for them, that's okay, because that will motivate you to smile when you don't feel like it. Boy, I've been there. It will make you take actions that will please them, as hard as that might be. Allow them to motivate you with their needs, and you know what it is that they need. They look at you and they want you to be happy, and you'll say, I'm never going to be happy ever again. But happiness comes in different ways, and little tiny spots of it here and there. And I know that we've given you a little tiny, teeny little bright light of happiness this morning. Chris.
Anne says, I am at a crossroads trying to care for my children, support my husband, and pursue my own personal growth. I need guidance as I'm feeling burnt out. I no longer am sure what is the right thing to focus on, and I need to protect my energy.
Okay, well, obviously, I don't know how old your kids are, but if they're young, there's your first motivator right there. As a mother, I'm speaking, when our children are young enough and they need us, then we're there for them. But then they get to a certain age and we have to sort of, push them to the side just a little bit, because as they get older, they have the capability of motivating themselves. Remember I said get a pad and a pen, and what you have to do, my darling, is to write down the first, let's say, ambition, or the first thing that you want in your life. What is it that you want in your life? Just disregard the tiredness. Easy for me to say, I know, but disregard the tiredness for a moment. Put something down that is possible. Don't put the impossible down. It's not about winning $1 million. It's not about, looking for the impossible, because to work on the dreams that are possible for you. So what is it that you want? And then once you've figured that out, you have to ask yourself, well, how hungry am I for that? Because look, if you are hungry enough, you'll crawl through a desert to find water. If you need nourishment, you will find a way to get it. So you've got to figure out, well, how hungry am I for this? And if you're not hungry enough to do something about it, then that's because you don't want it badly enough. And, whether it's through, obviously in your case, it isn't through idleness, it isn't through complacency, but you're exhausted, you're tired. But imagine that you are lacking nourishment and that you really, really need it. That should motivate you enough to go out and make those inroads into producing what it is that you really want. If you're at a crossroads, brilliant, great, you recognize it. What is the thing that will take you in whatever direction it is that you really want to go? You know it. We all know it within ourselves. What is the one thing that's going to make a difference to you in your life, that will nourish you, that will feed you? Never mind your children, never mind your husband, never mind anything else that is going on. Focus on you for a second here. Write down on that piece of paper what it is that you feel that you are hungry enough for, that you need nourishment for enough, and then you'll find yourself motivated in order to get it. Chris?
Let's see. Lee is giving us some advice. Just a thought. You have to encourage your viewers to smash the like button on YouTube for the algorithms. I was inspired to tell you to say that. The more likes, the more YouTube will promote the channel. So you really need the likes to happen.
Lee, you do know that you probably don't know. I have no clue what you're talking about. I think Chris might do. We so appreciate you doing this, and we're going to be motivated to do whatever it is that you're suggesting that we do. I want everybody out there who joins our shows to be motivated enough to do what you're suggesting that we do. I'm going to ask Chris. Chris, do you understand what he's saying?
He's basically saying like and share this video.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, right then.
People have to like the video.
Where do we like it? We like it once we've watched it, or we like it what? Or we know what sharing is. So as well as the hashtag Rosemary Altea, not only do you have to do that, you also have to like and share. And I'm motivating you all. So here's the thing. I think that after every comment, you should say whether you liked it or whether you shared it. I'm not sure. Am I putting too much on you all? Am I
you can only like it once at the, because he's talking about on YouTube. We have people here from Twitter, and you've got 2 or 3 Facebook pages, so it depends where they came in, but the YouTubers need to like it.
Oh, okay, right then. So there you are. Lee, that's so nice of you to tell us that. Thank you so much. And you were inspired, because I know that this is what Chris is trying to do in the office here. We are trying to reach out to as many people as we possibly can, because after all, isn't this a subject that you all want to know about? Isn't this something that you need to do? I mean, we've had so many comments on our bottom brick exercise, and people are loving every minute of it. And we have so many comments and so many people sort of wanting to know more about, whatever the subject is. We've had so many comments about our webinar on Saturday, which was fabulous, a great webinar. And we just want to promote more and more and more what it is that we're doing, because we feel that once people get to know this, and they know where they can come for answers, and they know where they can come for inspiration, and let's face it, we all want answers, don't we? We all need inspiration. So Lee, I think that was really helpful. So any other suggestions from anybody here, we are open to that. Chris.
Jeff says, generally, what motivates me is the news or awareness that I can't find an answer from within. I will reach out to someone who I believe can guide me to an answer or give me an answer on what to do.
Well, that's because, Jeff, thank you for that. That's because you are a doer, and you know how to do that for yourself. What we're trying to do here, and I think that that comment is going to be extremely helpful. I mean, where can you reach out? You can reach out to your community. You can reach out to your church, your pastor, your priest, whatever. You can reach out to YouTube. You can reach out. I mean, Google. You can reach out to Google. There are so many places now. The world is, no longer this vast and empty space that we know nothing about. Our world is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller because we are more and more able to communicate, and we have so many tools at our fingertips. So I think I think it's good. What you're saying, Jeff, is really good, because yes, you have to remember, not one of us is alone. And if you're watching this show, it means you've got a computer or some sort of form of communication. So so you need to use your the tool that you have, whether it's a computer, an iPad, or a phone, or whatever it is. You have the ability to reach out, even if it's only to Google. Just reach out and sort of allow other people into your life, allow other people to let you help them. So, Jeff, I think that's a great suggestion. Chris.
Betta's talking about their motivation. Every day I wake up and I smile because I'm alive and because I have 3 dogs and only 1 cat who make me feel happy. And I love reading my spiritual books in the garden.
Oh, I like it. You seem to have a very nice life. Yes, you see, when you have an animal, and I know this very well, uh, it's still hard for me. I go in the grocery store and I see the pet food aisle, and I'm heading down it before I'm even thinking about it. Uh, when we do things for other people, that's a great motivation, isn't it? But it's when we're trying to do things for ourselves is where we get hung up, don't we? We get confused because it's easy doing things for other people. We are motivated because we know our puppies need feeding. We know they need walking. We are motivated by the cat who's climbing all over Chris's lap, probably as we speak, because we have to do for other people. It's when we're having to do for ourselves that I think so many of us get stuck. And this is why I'm saying to you all, get a pad and a pen, whether you do it now through the show, whether you do it afterwards, and just think really carefully about the thing that you hunger for the most. What is it that you hunger for the most? What is it that will nourish you the most? And that then hopefully will trigger the motivation to reach out and to discover, where can I find it? What can I do with it? How am I going to motivate myself to do this? And if you are hungry enough, you will find a way. If you're not hungry enough, then that's your choice. And the truth of the matter is, if you're not hungry enough, you're never going to be hungry enough. So you're never going to achieve. I hear so many people say to me, "Oh, I'm writing a book, or I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I've got lots of stories to tell. Maybe I should write a book." If you're hungry enough, now let me think what would inspire me to actually get off my butt and start writing. Actually, I would sit down on my butt and start writing. Well, the fact that I have a daughter and a grandson motivates me, because I want to tell them my stories, or I want them to know about me after I'm gone. I want to leave something behind for them. That's a motivation for me. Do you have that same hunger to feed, to nourish yourself enough to know that you've left something behind for your children, for your grandchildren? Are you motivated enough? Is there anybody you want to do this for? Is it just for your own self? And if it's just for your own self and your own fulfillment, then you have to be hungry enough to strive to do it anyway. But if you can find another motivator, another reason why you should do what you're doing, I've got a story to tell and I want to share it with the world, well, then don't talk about it, do it. Are you hungry enough? Is it going to nourish you enough to share your story with other people? And if it is, then you will do it. And if it is not, then you won't. Nobody can force anybody to be motivated. Motivation is, sort of, we're doing this motivational Monday stuff. Nobody can motivate you. Nobody's got a magic wand for you. At the end of the day, the bottom line is, are you hungry enough? When we finish this show, boy, let me tell you, I'm starving. I don't know why I'm hungry, but I can feel my tummy rumbling away, which tells me I've got to go and get something to eat, even if it's only a little bit of something. I should be motivated because I need that nourishment. So this is what I'd like you to think about when you're thinking about the things that you would like to do, that you're at a crossroads. How can I get through the crossroads? Other people can tell you or make suggestions about what you do, but you've got to be the one who's hungry enough to go and do it. Good advice is all very well, and boy, it is ever easy to give advice. You get people everywhere, all over the world, who are going to give you advice. They're going to tell you how you can do this and how you can do that and so on. And I can give you advice. I'm sitting giving you advice in a way. The world is never short of people who give advice. However, bottom line, do you take the advice or do you ignore the advice? And that's your choice. We make choices. That's your choice. I'm going to choose to feed myself after this show. Really, I don't know what I'm going to have to eat, but I'm going to have something to eat. I'm going to have something to eat that I'm going to enjoy too. Sometimes when we nourish ourselves, we nourish ourselves with things that we don't necessarily enjoy, but we know that we need them and we know that this is going to nourish us. Sometimes it's really hard because we don't necessarily want what nourishes us, but I personally, I've always been a person who, if I'm hungry, whether it's for knowledge, whether it's to meet somebody, whether it's to do something, if I'm hungry, I'm not going to sit about thinking how hungry I am. I'm going to actually take an action. That's what motivates me into taking an action. And you have to take an action if you want your ambitions fulfilled. Then you have to take an action. What motivates you into taking that action depends how hungry you are. Okay, Chris, we've only got a few minutes left. How are we doing there?
Cheryl's saying sometimes having the money to do something is a wall.
Yes, Cheryl, I so agree. However, see, I'm knocking down these walls. You keep putting up these little barriers and excuses. And please understand me, I know that they are valid excuses. I'm not saying that they're not valid. However, having been in a place many years ago and often living my life literally having hunger and literally not being able to nourish myself in a way that I should. I ate potatoes for the longest time. I would feed my daughter and hope that she left some stuff behind. I'm talking about when she was a baby even. I would make her a little bit of mashed potato and some mashed carrot, even when she was sort of starting to eat soft food. And I would drool sometimes because I was so hungry, literally hungry, because we had no money. And I mean no money. When you start to search around the floorboards and you start to look in pockets that that you've looked in a dozen times before in the hopes that you can find a penny or two, when you start to lift up the corners of the carpet and so on, and when you start to, as you go for a walk in the park or on the pavement, you're looking for pennies that people have dropped because you just need to sort of eat something. However, did it stop me from nourishing my child? No, I found the way and I found the means. I don't know how I did it sometimes, but if you're motivated enough and hungry enough, you'll find a way. And yes, money can be a great obstacle, but you can get around it. Get an extra job. I'm not finding solutions here, but I know what I did. I I worked in a place that I wish I'd never had to work in, but I did. Sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do. Sometimes you have to look at the way that money is being spent. Sometimes you just, even if you only save a penny a day, you've got 5 pennies at the end of the week, 5 more, 7 more that you didn't have at the beginning of the week. Sometimes, if you are motivated enough, if you are hungry enough, eventually you'll find a way. It might take you a little while to find it, but if you're hungry enough and you need that nourishment, you will. I promise you, you will find a way. Chris.
Wendy says, I need motivation to see the perfection in an imperfect world because I'm constantly disappointed in people. I hunger for this.
Well, too bad, because what you're doing here, Wendy, is you are looking at other people to fulfill that perfect life for you, and it's never going to happen, ever. The world is not a perfect place. We as individuals, we are not perfect in any regard whatsoever. And when you're looking at other people to sort of fulfill your ambition, you can forget it, because it will not happen ever. And it's about time that you realize that it's never ever, you're never going to fulfill it. So now you need to ask your question, well, I'm going to spend the rest of my life being disappointed then? Or, because you will, if you're looking to other people to fulfill your life for you, or are you going to say, well, enough of everybody else and enough of wanting a perfect world? It's never going to happen. But what I can do is I can focus on me and make me the best that I can be. Not perfect, because you won't ever be, but I can work on me and make me more fulfilled and make me more perfect. So when you're looking to other people to fulfill you, it's like looking at the person in the house who's going to make you the sandwich. If you're going to sit back and look around and say, well, somebody else will make the sandwich, somebody else will feed me, trust me, if my household, you're going to be disappointed, because there is nobody else. Let me just remind you of the story, and some of you have heard this before. I'm going to remind you again. Okay, for those of you who are striving for perfection, for those who are looking for perfection, whether it's within yourself or whether it's within others. I remember going out, leaving my kitchen, closing the door behind me, starting to walk up the driveway, and decided I was going to go for a walk. And I was despondent. And I thought, well, maybe if I go for a walk, it'll make me feel better. I'll feel, whatever. And it was a beautiful day. And as I stepped out into the driveway, this beautiful, huge butterfly was flying around and around and around and around me. And I'm gazing at it and I'm thinking, wow, how beautiful this is. And then to my amazement, this little creature landed on my right here, on my shoulder, and I looked down at it. And I'd been watching it for, at least a minute or two, thinking how beautiful it was. And as it landed on me, I noticed that one of its wings was badly torn. And as I looked down at this, I heard Grey Eagle's voice saying, not perfect, but yet still beautiful. This describes each of us. It describes this world of ours. It's not perfect and never will be. But the joy of understanding that we don't have to be perfect to yet still be beautiful, I think it's an amazing thing. So Wendy, stop it. Stop looking to other people for a perfect world. It is never going to happen. Stop looking for perfect you. Never going to happen. Ever in your lifetime or the many lifetimes after that. Never going to happen. Be, real about this, because you can either spend your life being miserable, wishing for something that is never going to happen, or you can say, well, how about that I just make me and my life and my family the best that I can make it be? Because you can do something about that and you can make that happen. Chris, are we motivating people enough? What do you think here?
I absolutely think that the people are here to learn are learning. Lee says,
I love that.
we were very poor, but my mother always made sure we had potatoes. They were cooked in every which way, and we never truly went hungry.
Ollie, I love that. And you know, I remember once a few years ago, I remember writing a list, and I still have it somewhere. I'm a great list maker. So I remember writing a list of all of the different ways that you can cook a potato. You'd be amazed, actually. I think I came up with at least 26 ways. Yes, really. You know, the French way cooked in milk, and the British way we cook them in water, and double baked potatoes and all that stuff. But a plain and simple potato, if you know, you never I love the fact that you brought this up, because you said you grew up in a very poor family. Um, Yet your mother always found a way, even if only to give you potatoes. And that's what we do. We find a way. It's easier for us to find it for our children, I think, than it is for us to find the way for ourselves. But absolutely, if you know, if we are hungry enough, if we need nourishment enough in whatever way we need it, I can tell you absolutely, this I promise you, if you are hungry enough, you will find a way to nourish yourself. It may not be 100% satisfying, but as you become more and more satisfied, and as you become more and more aware that no matter what, if you can do this, you can motivate yourself, then gradually and slowly, your nourishment will become finer. It'll become more nourishing. It will become richer in so many ways. So basically, the bottom line is this: I think if you are hungry enough, and thank you, Lee, for this participation, because I'm totally with you absolutely here. If you are hungry enough for something, you will be motivated enough, because that hunger will motivate you enough to feed yourselves, whichever way it is, spiritually, uh, um, materially, yes, even materially, financially, or whatever, in whatever way. If you are motivated enough, if you are hungry enough to motivate yourself, it will work. And that is a promise that I can make to you. So you can, I know it's awful, but you can never again say it's his fault or their fault or somebody's fault, or, well, I lost my job, so I can't this or I can't that. The bottom line, oh gosh, don't you hate it when you know somebody pulls this on you? But the bottom line is, we are each responsible for our own selves, and we are each responsible for feeding ourselves, nourishing ourselves. And if we can't do it one way, then we have to motivate ourselves to finding another way. If you are hungry enough, if you are undernourished, find a way. Let that be your motivator. I think that's it for now. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, you're right at the hour, Rosemary.
Okay. So so anytime you talk about us, anytime you want to we'd love you to share. Can you share with all your friends and encourage them to share? Can you press the like button, as Lee says? Can you press the like button? Can you sort of help us to motivate other people? Can you be motivated enough to share what you have learned here? Um, Gosh, don't you hate it when somebody's right, and you really don't want to listen to the fact that we're each responsible for our own selves, because that means that we can never say, well, it was his fault, her fault, circumstances fault, because at the end of the day, You are you. You are this one person given this one gift of life. And all I can do is encourage you, hopefully, to make the best of it you possibly can. So, thank you, Chris. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. Some of you will never come back to me again. Because sometimes it's too hard to hear these truths, and I know that. And my hope is that you all overcome your fear, whatever that fear might be, enough that you can take some actions to making your lives better, more beautiful. Remember, not perfect, but yet still beautiful. I'd like to say thank you to Great Eagle for, as always, being our inspiration. And I would like to mention to you, first of all, we are here on, do we really have to call it Wellness Wednesday, Chris? Do we really? Because we're going to be talking about healing and making ourselves better in whatever way we can. We'll be there on Wednesday. Is it the same time, noon?
Yes, it is.
Tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll be definitely doing an off the cuff somewhere along the day, but we're going to surprise you with that. On Thursday, we'll be back again with our The Spirit World Sees All, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard. All of it is Eastern Standard Time, by the way. 12, let me see, Friday we are, do we have a volunteer, Chris?
Carol's volunteering, and that's at 11.
Uh-oh. So we're going to be joining Karen, Carol, thank you. We're going to be joining Carol to share with us. You're a very, very brave volunteer, Carol. I promise I'll be gentle. So we're going to be having Carol on Friday to talk about what she thinks her bottom brick is. We're going to see if we can help. And on Saturday, woohoo, my grandson's favorite time with me, we're going to have story time on Saturday. And on Sunday, we'll be doing our cooking again. If you want to know more about what we're up to, and we'll also be doing off the cuff here and there as well. So if you want to know more, please go to our website, rosemaryaltea.com, or one word. If you want to email, if you want to find out any more about us, if you want to have a consultation, if you want to know anything at all, email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com. And we'll do our very best to answer your questions and queries and all of that stuff. So in the meantime, please, all of you out there, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. Bye-bye.